Welcome back to Moonshine Moonshot. Today we're going to talk about how you can use video to get volunteers into your organisation. Really exciting couple of jobs we've been doing recently where we've been using video to make volunteers the hero of stories and thereby attract volunteers into organisations. And we know that volunteers are really essential to the functioning of many organisations.
Yeah, because we make documentaries in health a lot, we work with a lot of health-based organisations, and so a lot of those volunteers come to mind. They are so integral to the way that those organisations really are able to perform the work that they do. Some particular volunteers actually come to mind, even as we're speaking about this, who've featured in the videos that we've produced for those organisations to really help other people understand why volunteering for that organisation is a really beneficial and good use of their time.
Yeah, that's right. One that comes into my mind is actually for an organisation that offers free laundry services for homeless people and people living in remote communities. And that was a really great example of how the organisation delivers value to people by using volunteers. So we cast a volunteer right into the centre of that story, and I think it was really effective. What do you think?
Yeah, it came together really, really well, and if we're able to share a link to it, we will in the show notes. I'm not sure if it's been released yet or not. If it has, we'll certainly share that. And I think the really effective part about it was that the person who was the volunteer was so engaged with the organisation, really passionate about the work that he was doing, and you could just sense just how much pleasure he personally got out of being involved and helping to make that difference.
Yeah, that's right. So we cast him as the hero of the story, but there were supporting characters as well. And those were the people who were benefiting from him volunteering, those ones who were getting the free laundry service and also being exposed to this environment where they could connect, which has all these types of mental health benefits as well and community building benefits. So we're able to actually film that and showcase it. And it turned into a really powerful example of how other people could get involved in the organisation and help do the same sort of work and help this service scale and grow.
Yeah, so I think that's where video is really useful, because the video can then actually show other people what's involved and how it all unfolds and what to expect, and it can break down a lot of those barriers around, what am I really committing to, what's actually going to be happening. They're actually seeing another volunteer in action, so that takes away all that mystery around it.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the key parts of the storytelling around videos about volunteers is overcoming barriers. What are the common barriers that people have to say, oh, that's not for me, I don't have enough time, I'm not the right person? We did another video which was about a leading medical research group and how they needed consumers, being people with diseases, to work with researchers. And that was really interesting to understand the barriers that existed there for people volunteering their time. Some people thought because it was this very world-renowned research institute that they had to be very academic or have a university degree or speak English really well to be able to participate in this program. And actually it was the complete opposite. The organisation needed all types of volunteers. So in the storytelling, we're able to think about that and really raise those barriers and overcome them in the story so that people would feel like, yeah, I can do this and I should be doing this and it can make a big difference if I do.
Yeah, and I think it always comes down to understanding who your audience is. Who are the volunteers that you're trying to attract into your organisation, and what kind of story are they going to relate to? And how do you showcase that story in a way that overcomes a lot of those barriers? And so that's just about how you structure the video. So it's about finding that key volunteer that tells the story really well, then getting them to share that story, showing how they do it, and then you can wrap around some other characters within that as well to help bring it all to life.
Yeah, and you really touched on defining your ideal audience then, and I think the big guy in the sky might have something to say about that.
Figure out who you're talking to first. Who would volunteer for you? They're your audience.
I completely agree, and it's actually why I've just produced a course on how to define your own audience for your own projects for exactly that reason.
Yeah, so check that out. It's great. So the last thing is, and we've talked about this a lot in other videos, is the engaging personal story that generates empathy. So I think we've really covered that off already, but just remember that's the critical thing, that you've got an authentic voice that speaks passionately about you know, the topic in your video. So you don't want someone dry. You don't necessarily want, you know, your expert or even your CEO, even though they're often wonderful and passionate and sometimes absolutely the best casting for a film. They're not always the best. So sometimes you want your volunteer right in the center of the story, and that's okay too.
It's about that relatability. You want someone who's going to be relatable for your audience. So if you understand who your audience is, you'll understand who's the best person to connect with them, and you're going to be able to craft a really effective story.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. We've just released a film about using video for your fundraising. That's a bit of a related topic because a lot of organisations who need volunteers are also doing fundraising. So subscribe, check that out, and don't forget to leave us a comment.